In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill presents desire as the starting point of all achievement. At first, this may sound simple. Everyone desires something: more money, more freedom, more recognition, more peace, a better career, a different life, a stronger body, a clearer mind, a more meaningful future. Desire seems natural. It appears in everyone. It belongs to human life. But Hill does not speak about desire in the ordinary sense of the word. He does not refer to a weak wish. He does not refer to a passing dream. He does not refer to a vague hope that someday, somehow, life may become different. The desire described by Hill is more intense, more definite, and more disciplined. It is a desire that has been chosen, a desire that has been clarified, a desire that has been emotionally accepted as important enough to influence thought, decision, and action. This distinction is crucial. Many people want change, but they do not yet desire it in Hill's sense. They may want success, but not enough to organize their days around it. They may want independence, but not enough to change their habits. They may want knowledge, but not enough to study consistently. They may want a different life, but not enough to decide what that life should actually look like. A weak wish asks for improvement without demanding transformation. A definite desire begins to transform the person who holds it. That is why desire in Hill's philosophy is not passive. It is not merely emotional. It is not simply a pleasant image of a better future. It is an inner force that begins to direct the mind. It gives thought a center. It gives attention a priority. It gives action a reason. Without desire, a person may still be active, busy, and occupied. But activity without desire is often scattered. One task follows another. One distraction replaces another. One idea appears, then disappears. Life moves, but not necessarily in a chosen direction. Desire gives movement a direction. It answers the silent question, why should this effort continue? This is one of the reasons why Hill places desire at the beginning of achievement, before planning, before persistence, before specialized knowledge, before cooperation with others. There must be something strong enough to awaken and hold attention. There must be an inner reason. There must be a purpose that matters. Without such a reason, difficulty becomes too powerful, distraction becomes too attractive, the opinion of others becomes too influential, and temporary failure begins to look like final defeat. It is advisable, therefore, to understand desire not as a feeling alone, but as a form of inner commitment. A true desire is not only something a person would like to have, it is something a person is willing to become responsible for. This is where the meaning becomes more serious. To desire something deeply is not merely to imagine receiving it. It is also to accept the discipline required by it. A person who desires knowledge must accept study. A person who desires mastery must accept repetition. A person who desires independence must accept responsibility. A person who desires success must accept uncertainty, effort, criticism, delay, and correction. Desire, when properly understood, does not remove the price of achievement. It reveals why the price may be worth paying. There is, however, an important danger. Desire can easily be confused with fantasy. Fantasy enjoys the image of success, but avoids the process that leads to it. Fantasy wants the result without the transformation. Fantasy wants the reward without the discipline. Fantasy wants the identity without the practice. Hill's idea of desire should not be reduced to fantasy. It is not enough to say, I want this. It is not enough to repeat a goal without emotional and practical alignment. It is not enough to admire success from a distance. Desire must become definite. This means that it should be clear. Not merely I want a better life, but what exactly does a better life mean? Not I want success, but in what field, in what form, for what reason, by what kind of effort. Not I want to grow rich, but what kind of richness is being pursued and what must be developed in order to move toward it. The mind works differently when desire becomes specific. A vague desire produces a vague attention. A definite desire produces selective attention. It begins to filter experience. It notices relevant knowledge. It recognizes opportunities more quickly. It sees the connection between daily action and long-term direction. This does not mean that every desire becomes reality. It does not mean that life will obey every ambition. It does not mean that external conditions do not matter. But it does mean that definite desire changes the way a person participates in life. A person without a clear desire often waits for circumstances to decide. A person with a clear desire begins to decide how to respond to circumstances. This is a major difference. It is the difference between drifting and directing, between reacting and choosing, between wanting something occasionally and returning to it repeatedly. Hill's philosophy is built around this idea of repeated return. The mind must return to the aim. The emotions must return to the aim. The plan must return to the aim. Action must return to the aim. This return is what gives desire its power. A desire that appears only once is weak. A desire that disappears after the first difficulty was never fully established. A desire that survives inconvenience begins to become serious. A desire that survives delay becomes stronger. A desire that survives criticism becomes more independent. A desire that survives temporary failure becomes part of character. For this reason, desire is closely connected with persistence. At the beginning, desire may feel like inspiration, but inspiration alone does not last. The first emotional fire may fade. The first enthusiasm may disappear. The first plan may fail. The first attempt may produce disappointment. Then the real question appears. Was the desire only a mood, or was it a decision of the inner life? This is why it is recommended to examine one's desires carefully. Not every desire deserves the same attention. Not every desire should become a life direction. Some desires are borrowed from other people. Some are created by comparison. Some are produced by fear. Some are based on the need to impress others. Some are only reactions to temporary dissatisfaction. A mature desire should be examined, purified, and made one's own. It should not be chosen only because it looks impressive. It should not be chosen only because society admires it. It should not be chosen only because someone else has achieved it. A desire becomes powerful when it is internally accepted, when it belongs to the person, when it connects with values, purpose, imagination, and willingness to act. This is also why Hill links desire with belief. A person may desire something, but if the desire is constantly contradicted by inner disbelief, action becomes hesitant. The mind moves forward and backward at the same time. One part says this matters, another part says this is impossible, one part imagines achievement, another part prepares for defeat. In such a state, energy is divided. Desire must therefore be supported by a growing conviction that movement is possible, not certainty. Certainty is rarely available at the beginning, but possibility. The belief that a direction is worth following. The belief that improvement is possible, the belief that learning may change capacity, the belief that effort repeated intelligently may produce results. This belief gives desire stability. But desire must also be connected with action. Without action, desire becomes pressure. It may turn into frustration, envy, or regret. The person continues to want, but does not move. The mind keeps returning to the image of a better life, but the body remains attached to old habits. This creates inner conflict. For desire to remain healthy, it must be translated into movement. Even small movement, a decision, a schedule, a conversation, a page written, a skill practiced, a problem studied, a habit changed, a first step taken. Small actions give desire a path. They prevent it from remaining only an emotional burden. They begin to transform desire into evidence. Evidence that the person is no longer only wishing. Evidence that the mind has begun to choose. Evidence that inner direction is becoming outer behavior. This is the practical importance of desire in Hill's philosophy. It is not merely the beginning of ambition, it is the beginning of organization. It organizes attention, it organizes emotion, it organizes learning, it organizes time, it organizes decision. And gradually, if maintained with discipline, it organizes action. A person who truly desires something begins to ask better questions. What must be learned? What must be changed? What must be abandoned? What must be practiced? Who can help? What is the next step? What is weakening the direction? What is strengthening it? These questions are already signs of movement. They show that desire is becoming practical. They show that the mind is no longer only dreaming about a result, but preparing for a process. And perhaps this is the most important point. Desire is not only about wanting the final result, it is about accepting the path that leads toward it. To desire achievement is to desire growth. To desire growth is to accept discomfort. To accept discomfort is to begin becoming someone capable of the desired result. This is why the starting point of achievement is also the starting point of self-transformation. Before circumstances change, the inner relationship to the goal must change. Before action becomes consistent, desire must become definite. Before persistence becomes possible, the reason for persistence must be strong enough. So it may be useful to pause and ask, what is truly desired? Is it clear? Is it chosen? Is it personal? Is it strong enough to influence daily action? And perhaps most importantly, is this desire only a wish, or has it already become a direction? This has been Gabriel from Thinking Mind.